Next question comes from my boy, Luke Hamachek, and he says, what sports background did you have before Ninja Warrior, and how does it benefit you for Ninja Warrior? And I freaking love this question, bro. I mentioned earlier in this video that I played soccer for a little while, right? And I also wrestled in high school. Wrestling was really my main focus throughout high school. Grip strength is obviously super important to Ninja Warrior, and grappling gives you pretty good grip strength, man. People who do judo or jujitsu, especially wearing a gi, or you see those guys wearing those like white, people call them karate outfits, it's called a gi. Grabbing that gi and trying to control your opponent, grappling with your opponent, throwing your opponent, man, that really taxes your grip. But even in wrestling, where you don't have a gi, you don't have something to grab onto, but just grabbing somebody's wrist, right? It's called wrist control in wrestling. Any grappling martial art really does help you develop a pretty strong grip. All those years of training for wrestling, and you know, we did a lot of strength and conditioning, so grip strength was definitely something that came over from wrestling, right? It's a whole other game with Ninja Warrior, don't get me wrong. I don't think you can go from grappling to Ninja Warrior and have really good grip. It's not gonna work that way. You're gonna have to do some specific rock climbing, but it gave me a good foundation. I would say even more beneficial, my wrestling background gave me a really good mental headspace. It gave me really good self-belief, really good confidence. I had a lot of great coaches in high school. Some terrible coaches in high school, but I had mostly great coaches. Man, I'm telling you, they say if you wrestle, everything in life after that is easy, because wrestling is the hardest thing you can do. And I know there's a pointless debate on what the hardest sport in the world is. There's no real answer to that, and everybody's gonna think their sport is the hardest sport. Well, I happen to think wrestling is probably the hardest sport out there. Maybe second to MMA. You guys know how much I love MMA. I love mixed martial arts, and I think fighting in a cage, they're modern day gladiators. You put two guys in a cage and have them fight. There's a ref in there. Obviously it's not to the death like gladiators were, but it's pretty close to being a gladiator. I don't think there's anything more difficult than that. I don't care what you say, but every sport is super hard, and every sport there's a lot of mental, you know, there's a huge mental game in there. Like I have friends who play tennis. I love tennis. Tennis is a very mental game. Surfing, you know, big wave surfing is a really hard sport. That's a scary sport. Wrestling gave me an amazing mental game, amazing self-confidence. Wrestling has had a huge impact on my Ninja Warrior career, for sure. Amazing question, Luke. I really like that question. Thanks, bro.